Morning, guys. It's Saturday morning. I've got a 15-minute game up on the board against a player rated just under 1,000. And I've got the black pieces, and they've started with e4, so I'm going to go with this Sicilian. And I've got a kind of a coaching tip as well that I've... close Sicilian, right. That I've... been thinking about recently and kind of wanting to share with you guys, which is that I think that all of us are better at chess than our rating. Okay, I need to think about the game at the same time. This is a 115 for me. Right. I think d5 looks all right. So yeah, what do I mean that you're better than your rating? So let's say you're 1,000 rated, right? What this means is that some of the time you play above 1,000 and some of the time you play below 1,000. So your the rating, which is the accumulation of your success and failures so far. How about d4? Maybe at some point. Okay, so yeah, so your rating is based on the sum total of your successes and failures, and some of those times you've been playing, no, that's undefended this pawn, isn't it? Does my opponent notice? Should have played that after all. Some of the time you're playing below your rating, some of the time you're playing above your rating. Okay, so now I'm going to play that just to stop the knight taking my pawn. So the trick is clearly that you need to spend more time playing at your best and less time playing below par. Simple as that, really. Okay, now he's coming in for this bishop. I'm going to put my knight here so I can castle. Okay, so fairly straightforward. I've got a nice centre here. So we've all played games in the past where we've beaten people who are higher rated than us. Now, does that mean that, so say you beat somebody who's 50 points higher rated or 100 points higher rated, maybe they're playing below par, maybe you're playing your best. So I think we need to be taking this attitude into our play. That we are all better than our current rating. Fairly straightforward, really. Okay, so I've got no dark squared bishop anymore. I do have nice space. I feel like I want to... So I've got a bishop sack there. And my knights need to get in a bit closer to the enemy king. So what do you think? Bishop here. Kind of makes sense. Centralise my rooks. So I've now completed development. White has almost completed development, needs to get the queen off the back rank. So this guy's rated 979. That means that he's beaten people who are better than 979. Okay, so challenging the pawn here. If I take there, I've got bishop coming in. So I think I'd rather allow him to take, maybe take that with the pawn. I'll centralise my rooks. I'll take that with the knight as well. That would be quite good. Really threaten this defensive knight. Want to get him out of the way. So pawn or queen? I think queen, because it threatens this pawn and it also pins this pawn. Also, if I drop my queen back onto this diagonal, I've got a checkmate threat. I'd like to bring my knight in as well. Where does my knight want to go? Okay, let's just drop back. Threaten mate. Probably bishop here, yep. And now this bishop's undefended, so I need to drop back. We may end up trading bishops. The queen is still also defending this knight here, even if I recapture the bishop, so I need to centralise this rook. Well, I don't know if that helps you. Should I go here? Then if rook takes knight, I've got checkmate on g2. That's a little honeypot. Okay, and checkmate, there you go. So, if you're 1000 rated, I would argue that your real ability is probably 1100, 1200. Because your performance comes down to two things, really. It comes down to your ability at chess, and it comes down to your actual performance in games. And those two things are not the same. Right? So your ability is limited by your experience, your knowledge of chess principles, the speed at which your brain works, all those kinds of things. Your performance is not related to those things. You know those things, right? They are there. Your performance comes down to how well you apply them, how disciplined you are in your play, how much time you take over your moves, and the effort to which you the effort that you put into selecting your moves. So, let's just take this for example, right? This is a trap. Now, my opponent's rated 978. Is he capable of spotting that the queen is looking at g2 and the queen is defended by a bishop, and that would be checkmate? Yes, of course he is. Right? But he saw a free piece and he got overexcited and he thought, I'll take the free piece, and he fell for a bit of a sucker punch with a checkmate. So what does this mean? Because really at that point he was doing quite well. Let's just look at the game report, because I think for most of this game, white was definitely in the game, and it was just let down by one sloppy move. So what am I saying? I think that we should be, so I've played 95 accuracies, played 78.3, but look at this. Right up until here, right up until this point, we were bang equal. Okay? So what is it? Minus 0.01. Black has the whisker of an edge in this position. And there was one blunder. And that was the blunder. Okay, mate in one. Simple as. So what was better? Bishop f3. Of course it was. Bishop f3, my queen has to retreat. We could swap off bishops. We could then swap off knights. No, he's not going to capture that with his rook. But yeah, it's an equal game, and chess is decided by small margins. And look at this graph down here, right? Very, very equal. So there's a poorish move by me. Bishop d6 is an inaccuracy. Okay. He says I should have brought the knight out. Slight difference. Oh yeah, because of course it hung that pawn, didn't it? Yeah. But my opponent didn't spot that. My opponent's got 14 minutes on the clock. He could have spotted it. He is able to spot it. I think the problem is that he's playing like a 900 instead of playing like an 1100. An 1100 would have probably grabbed the material at that point. Right? And then knight takes that, and he's 1 point up in score. Yeah? Obviously, it's in many ways it's harder to play somebody who's lower rated than you are. And when you're playing somebody who's higher rated, you're more likely to be on your best game. So I'm just going to pull up a couple of games for you and show you a couple of interesting positions. So hold on. Okay, so I've got 4 interesting positions from games, all of which I played yesterday. And in this one, so I'm going out giant hunting this week, which I think is something we should all be doing because we are all actually higher rated than our rating. All right. Now, in this one, my opponent is up the exchange, and they are rated 1715. Right. At this point, I'm rated 1442. Now, look. My opponent now plays queen takes g6. Okay, grabs another pawn. There are some threats going on here. There's a bishop coming down here, but what I next played was e5. And e5 was a blunder, but can you see why it was a blunder? Right? The reason is because I had one move that was winning in this position, but for some reason I didn't find the move. Right, the move I think is knight to f8. And look at the queen. Queen can't go here because of this pawn, right? Because of that pawn. Can't go there because of pawn and knight. Can't go here because of the knight. He's got one square here, I think. And obviously can't go there, can't take the bishop and so on, right? So the queen is almost trapped. And then I think actually bishop to e6 would have trapped the queen and basically won the game. Now, at this point in time, so I spent, well, I had 26 minutes left on the clock. Okay, am I capable of finding this combination? Not there, but there, yeah? Of course I am. I'm capable of finding that combination, right? I didn't find it because I was playing like a 1400, not like a 1600, okay? My opponent actually had like 98 accuracy on this game, but I had one opportunity to win it, and I simply didn't find the opportunity. Why didn't I find the opportunity with 26 minutes left on the clock out of a 30-minute game? I don't know. I can't make excuses for that. Right? The move was there. It was there to be found. It's there on the board. You know, everyone's seeing the same board. Everyone's playing by the same set of rules. You know, I just didn't take the time, and I think that's part of the issue when you're playing somebody who's 250 points higher rated. Then you're almost expecting them to play better. And what you need to do is you need to say, I am the equal to this player, right? Or even if my moves haven't been so great, so let's say I'm 50% accuracy, that he's 98, right? Sometimes an opportunity like this presents itself, and it presents itself more often when you are disciplined, and when you take the time, and when you say to yourself, I can beat this player. If you think you can't beat a player, you've got no business playing that player, right? So that's why you need to be thinking, I am 200 points better than this. Okay, let's look at another one. So in this game, my opponent's rated 1596. Now, I've never been rated 1596, but I can beat players rated 1600. I've beaten a player rated 2000 before, right? So in this game, I'm playing with black. I think this has come from the Dutch, and he now moves his bishop back. Okay, so checkmate. Simple back rank checkmate. Bishop undefends the rook, checkmate, right? He's got 9 minutes left on the clock. Okay, he's rated 1596. So part of it is that he's taking his eye off the ball. He almost maybe feeling like he deserves the win, like it's going to come naturally because he's so talented. Excuse me. And he fell for a simple back rank on move 17. Right? It happens. I played a guy yesterday rated 1700 odd who abandoned the game after a while, and I got like 13 points for nothing. Right? People abandon games. People abandon games at every level. People get disconnected. They're on the train. They go through a tunnel. The battery runs out. Yeah, they get called down for their tea. Right? People abandon games. Now, if you're playing somebody who's 300 points lower rated than you, and they abandon the game, you might get 2 or 3 points. If you're playing somebody higher rated than you, and they abandon the game, you're going to get 12, 13, 14 points. Right? No brainer, really. Okay, let's look at number 3. Now, this is a nice example. Again, so this is my error in this instance. So material is equal, and I play rook to f2. Okay, so clearly we've got a bit of a barrage going on here. We've got queen and rook looking at this pawn on g2. Okay, now I could have defended it with my king. Could move king f1. Would have defended it. And if rook takes, queen takes, he loses a rook. For some reason, with 24 minutes on the clock, I play rook to f2. Now, can you see why this is a blunder? Right? It's very straightforward. First he takes his pawn, and then he sees rook to e3, pins the queen on the king. He's going to win the queen. He's going to win the game. Okay? He's rated 1695. Could I have seen that move? By moving my rook here, could I have seen that this move was on? 100%. I'm totally able of seeing that, and for some reason I missed it. Okay, this happens. Nobody plays at their best all the time. So what we need to be doing, I think, is playing stronger opponents and play when you are on form. If you are tired, if you are distracted, if you're under time pressure, just don't play. If you want to build your rating, okay? And when you play, you have to say to yourself, okay, I solemnly swear that I'm going to be as evil as possible in this game. I am going to frustrate my opponent because I'm going to take all the time that I need to find the very best moves that I'm capable of finding, right? And those higher rated players are going to get frustrated, right? They'll always take less time than you will take, probably, because they think they deserve an easy ride. And if you are not prepared to take every second that you are allowed to take to find the best moves, to do whatever it takes to beat your opponent, don't play. Simple as. Right. Example number 4. This is a really interesting one. Again, here my opponent played with like 98 accuracy. Now, I've kind of had my bishop on here for a while, and it was looking at these light squared pawns, not much good. So I dropped my bishop back here to b1, and I was thinking maybe I might get an attack in here. Now the move that I play is actually bishop takes h6, sacking my bishop, and then I played e5 with the idea of dropping my queen in here for checkmate. Okay, but my opponent spent 2 minutes over this move, right? Sack the queen. Well, it's not sack the queen, it's force a trade of queen and bishop. Okay, so now I'm down to a rook and a bishop, and I've got an extra pawn, and I go on to lose. All right, and my opponent's got 2 rooks. Now, at this point in time, according to the computer, this was the moment, apparently, to play e5 and threaten mate. And it said that I was actually in a winning position from that point. The bishop sack was unnecessary. So now if, let's say, so now if I push that, then queen takes, bishop takes, king takes, I've got 2 bishops for their rook. And I'm in the stronger position, and I've got an extra pawn. So I'm up in material. In fact, I don't have an extra pawn because I haven't grabbed that one. Okay, but I'm up in material. I ought to be able now to protect my pawns and use my bishop pair much more effectively in the endgame. So it looks like there wasn't a checkmate on right at that point, but sacrificing my bishop at that point, and I remember the thought process, and I remember that it was a guess when I played that move. So what are we saying? You are better than your rating. I'm better than my rating. Everybody out there is actually better than their rating. So, and it comes down to the 2 things. It comes down to your ability, which you can't do an awful lot about other than train, do puzzles, do lessons, take lessons from a teacher, etc., etc., right? You can improve. Read books, solve problems, all that kind of stuff, right? You can improve your ability at chess, but the easiest thing to manage is your performance. The easiest thing that you've got the most control over how often do you play? What attitude do you take into your games? And your attitude needs to be steely. Like I've said before, it needs to be this combination of mixture of respect, due respect and contempt for your opponent. It doesn't matter if they're 200 points higher rated than you, and you need to bank on the fact that they probably expect to win. And you need to turn that to your advantage and against them. Any of these games could have gone either way. As you've seen, a couple of them I could have won against much higher rated opponents, and my rating would have been up 20 points higher than it is now. That's where it should be if I was managing my performance properly. Okay, so that's what I want you to think about, right? The reason why you lose games is not because you're not good enough. I think the reason why many of us lose games is because we don't take the time. We aren't managing our own gameplay discipline properly. And if you can resolve that in your own mind, you will be a stronger player. You will get better results. Your rating will climb. So there you go. It's a little update on the giant hunting, but just get it into your mind that whatever your rating is, your ability is probably 100, 200 points above where your rating is. And that's the mentality that you should take into a game. You might say, okay, I'm rated 800, but I'm actually a 1000 player. I know that in me there's a 1000 player. Or if you're 1000, you think I'm a 1200 player. That's what I should be, right? And you should be really strict with yourself and say, I need to be playing like the 1000 player or the 1200 player that I am deep inside. Don't think I'm going into this as a 700 or an 800 or whatever. Go into it thinking with the sure knowledge that you are better than your rating. And that the reason why your rating is lower than your ability is because of your performance, not because you don't know what to do. Okay? So keep watching the videos. I will help you as much as I can to know what to do in the opening, in the middle game, in the end game, and so on. But the performance part, I can only help so far. Play with a clear head. Play when you're awake. Play when you've got time. Play when you can focus. And play only when you've got that level of determination in your own mind that you can take this bugger. And you have the ability to do it. And that if you play properly, if you play to the level that you are capable of playing, you can beat him, right? And if you're not thinking that, don't hit the play button. The play button, okay? Just go and do something else. Train, do something else, okay? That's it. So you are better than you think. All right. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you soon.